got left product because they didn't have the mic.
6 o'clock.
Like, what is it? Lydell.
If y'all will, we're going to begin our meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. It's 6 p.m. And I will ask Ms. Willis if she'll please call the roll.
Mayor Charles Goodman.
I am here.
Council President Deborah Jones.
Here.
Vice President Marguerite Robinson. Here. Council Member Michael Cox.
Here.
Council Member Zach Bullock.
Here.
Council Member Ellie B. Ross.
Here.
City Manager Terry Bavard.
Here.
Attorney Kristen Ballou. Here. City Clerk Latricia Wright absent.
Thank you so much. Ms. Wright went home sick about 45 minutes ago. She just couldn't go any farther. I saw her earlier. She was fine. So we'll say little prayers for her. At this time, we're going to stand and have the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by the mayor.
Lord, we thank you for this day that we've been given, this opportunity to meet together as a community and to do the business of our city. Lord, we ask you to be with us, help us, lead us, and guide us in everything that we do and all the things that we say. Lord, I just ask you to be with this country. This country is, as always, struggling, but we will make it. And Lord, I ask you to be with the police and the fire department and the city council, Lord, as they struggle to deal with all the problems that little municipalities like ours come up with. I ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We will move now to item number 1, which is additions, deletions, changes, or approval of the agenda. I'm unaware of any changes, so I will entertain a motion for approval.
I move that we approve the agenda.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion by anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Are we going to do this or wait till next time?
We're going to do this.
Okay. All right. Item number 2 is proclamation for the Clerk's Week, April 30th to May 6th. I wish Miss Latricia was here. I'll have to give it to her.
So I was in a phone conversation with the city clerk a short while ago, and I asked her whether she would like me to postpone this, and her request was that I go ahead and issue this proclamation. Following her wishes, that's why we're going ahead. This is a proclamation, whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides professional link between the citizens and the local governing bodies and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas the municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. Whereas the municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in educational programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meeting of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Now, therefore, I, Charles Goodman, Mayor of the City of Williston, Florida, do recognize the week of April 30th to May 6th, 2023 as Municipal Clerks Week. And I further extend the appreciation to our municipal clerk, Latricia Wright, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Signed under my hand and seal in the council chambers of the City Hall on this 18th day of April 2023. Ms. Willis, I'll bring it to you. Would you see that the city clerk gets this when she returns?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, at this time, we have our first opportunity for public participation. And this is the time that you have up to 5 minutes to speak to us about anything that is not currently on our agenda. There's another opportunity at the end. Some people don't stay that long. If you'd like to speak to us about any subject not currently on the agenda, please come to the podium. Ms. Ashley, please state your name for the record.
Chamberlain Ackland. I'm just standing this to do a follow-up. I spoke a little with Jonathan on the Seabrook project that we mentioned before. And he said he'd give just a brief update, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, go do that now.
Sure, she told me to do the brief update just for the record. Me and Latricia have been working hard on that. We're gonna present a resolution at the next meeting. We've got everything figured out and it's moving forward.
Okay, and I think Jonathan
Next
has
meeting.
one.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Perfect.
Jonathan.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I got up this morning thinking about that too. All right, anybody else at this
Anyone
time?
online wish to speak? Unmute your mic, speak up. Nothing heard.
Okay, then we're going to, you have something at this time? Okay, we're gonna move then to the consent agenda, which consists of the council meeting minutes of April the 4th. I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 5 is updates for staff, board, and council. We'll start with the city manager.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be brief because we do have some other things we're going to be covering in the agenda as we move forward. Just to kind of let you know that myself and staff have worked over the process of code enforcement and how we track it and what we do with it internally and how we manage it. So there are going to be some things we're going to put in place coming up in the very near future of how we keep track of code enforcement violations, what process they're in, what's the next step, and something that the city manager will be involved in at that level. And this will move forward. So we'll have a better understanding of where each individual one is and what's going on, and I can report back to y'all as needed, individually or the city council as to where we're at in each individual case. So that process is we're looking at is improving that moving forward. I'll give you a brief update on the CRA loan if you would like. The original loan as it came out, there were some issues in the way it was structured. So I had some concerns about it, specifically the part of how we secured the loan. So the bank is working with the CRA. They're rewriting the way the loan is being secured, which is through the taxes are paid by the CRA, which is the way it should be. And hopefully we'll have that worked out for them in the very near future. So just, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer your questions on that. But that's what's taking so long with that, is that we've had a few things that we're trying to do. We are working on a very robust itinerary for the opening of the animal shelter. We have something to talk about that later in the packet. We do not have an itinerary as of yet as far as each individual step of what we're going to do, but Nikki and her staff and Laura and her staff are working very hard, and I think you're going to be pretty impressed with what they come up with.
Great.
So that's coming, and then I'll defer until my moments in the agenda as we move forward.
Any questions for the city manager on those issues? Okay, any other staff members at this time? Chief Ross.
Madam President, thank you. We're tentatively scheduling the Law Enforcement Memorial Service Day on May 10th at 10 o'clock. To honor those that have lost their lives in the line of duty. I'm glad to report that as of Friday, I was appointed as the Assistant Director for District 17 Florida Police Chiefs Association, Region 17, which covers Alachua, Bradford, Gilchrist, Levy, Marion, and Putnam counties. I'm excited about that new adventure in this stage of my career, and hopefully I can bring some good things back to the city.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. May 14th through May 20th is National Police Week. So we'll be recognizing our law enforcement officers for the job that they do, the thankless job they do. They run towards trouble when others are running away from it. So that's an important day to recognize them. Also, May 5th is Law Day. For those of you who's took part in that, that's a very nice event, nice day to come out and meet people, I think.
Also Judge Browning.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting ready to tell them now. Also, Judge Browning, which I'm sure a lot of you are aware of and know of, will be retiring, so he will be there. So come and say your thank yous and goodbyes to him. Other than that, I have a couple PSAs that I've been working with Jonathan and Public Works to get put up around the city. Just a little something to remind people of the importance of phones down, buckle up. So we're going to try to hang these banners up somewhere around the city, just to, as a PSA, just to remind people the importance of safety and not being a distracted driver, which all contributes towards our crashes and people reckless driving and speeding through the city, which we've taken a really tough stance on and has been doing a really good job at enforcing our traffic laws here in the city. So other than that, that's all I have, Madam President.
Perfect. Any questions for the chief? Okay. Our next chief, Chief Stegall.
Yes, ma'am. I don't have anything nowhere near as detailed or as lengthy as my cohort. Several months ago, the council president asked me to get all of the doors painted the same color at the fire department. I am happy to report that all of the doors are now the same color.
Yes, they are.
But we did not paint them. They're all brand new bay doors. They are finally installed. Thank you all for your support on that.
Thank you. I saw some checks go through on that, so I knew you were working on it. Thank you. Anything for the fire chief? Any other staff member at this time? Okay, any council member at this time? Have another opportunity at the end. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything at this time?
Just a couple of small things.
Okay.
I would first of all like to thank the city, the utility department for all the hard work they put into your new animal shelter. I had a fantastic group of people out there today doing a lot of the difficult work, and we have now got brats all the way around our animal shelter. It's okay, Charles, it's our animal shelter.
Yes, it is.
So it's an exciting event for me. I know it may not be to everyone, but I've been waiting a long time for grass. And I am just thankful that our utility division stepped up to the plate and got it all done. And it looks very, very well. I'm very pleased, and I thank you.
Now we just need rain, right?
We got water.
I got water. That's
But
good.
we'll live with rain.
Yeah, that's good. I knew we needed to water it if we seeded it. All right, anything else from the staff this time before we move to the next item? All right, we will move then to item number 6, which is new business. Discussion with possible action. Crystal Wilcox, speed bumps on Southeast 10th Street. Come on down.
How's everybody?
Wonderful.
Okay, I got some on my phone as well that when they get to the stop sign, they do not stop. they go speeding straight through, and it's a family with kids right there, go further down, it's kids. We have speed bumps when you're going in, but they're not all the way across, and they barely up now. We need speed bumps all the way across, and this is every day, all day.
Have you informed the police department?
Yes, I have.
Just now.
I've never.
No, not you, sir.
Oh, okay.
I started to
I
say,
have to, but no, I have told.
what we normally do is refer it to our police chief so that he can go and investigate, and report back to us on the issue.
But, I mean, the speed bumps on one side, they're not all the way across, and what they're doing, and it's gonna happen, I just believe it, they're going around the speed bumps.
I didn't even know there were any speed bumps there.
Oh, yeah.
They're all the way down, but they're not doing any good. I got them on the phone.
So they don't go all the way across the street, just on one side or the other?
And they going around,
Okay.
and not stopping to the stop sign, y'all can take stop signs up if you want to, they.
What 100 block?
I started to say, what block? It's a long street.
Cross street.
31 Southeast 10th Street,
31.
31.
and all the way down.
The chief will check it out.
I'm telling you, it'd be kids playing in there and somebody's child gonna get hit.
I hope
I
not.
hate to say that, but the way they do it, come see it for yourself. It's bad.
Chief.
It's bad.
She's referring
All
to
day.
First Ave.
Well, we will,
Further on.
you say you have pictures, you don't have pictures. I thought you said that's what you did. If you want to turn in some of those pictures to the city clerk, or even later,
I'm just a
The city
but
clerk
I will
is
definitely
absent.
get with you.
well, she's filling in, so that makes her the city clerk at the moment. Just so that we have those.
We need them all the way up, and
Okay.
they're so low.
All right, well, the police chief will go and take a look at them, and he will report back to us what his recommendation is. And so he's your man. Well, I'll be him. He'll come back to us.
All right, thank you.
All right, yes, ma'am. So Brooke, if you'll make a note, put that on the next agenda. All right, and at this time, we'll move to item B, which is discussion with possible action. Councilmember Ross, golf cart safety.
Yes, we've been through this numerous times, and I'm sure a lot of you are tired of listening to it, but we've had to prolong it for several reasons. But tonight, you've got copies of some material that Mr. Terry Robinson provided us with, which all of you should, all the council members and the mayor should have copies of this material. It's rather well done, it's got things we need to be aware of, and this one sheet by itself pretty well tells it all. Several times golf carts to be permitted on city streets have come up and been rejected. They're used throughout Florida, but with consequences, injuries, and even death have resulted from golf carts on municipal streets. This is well documented. Now, I'm not going to read the rest of it. You have a copy in hand, and I'm sure you're interested, but I'll drop down to the Attorney General's report, which says as of 2021, through Williston, the daily count of vehicles on 27, which is Noble, is over 19,000. From Noble to the Split, the Daly County exceeds 18,000, and at the Split toward Gainesville, on 121, the count is over 19,000. It's conceivable that the count is more than this for 2022. Therefore, based on the foregoing and in light of the express language of Statute 316.12, Florida Statute 1983, prohibiting the operation of golf carts on any part of the state highway system, I am of the opinion, until and unless judicially and legislatively determined to the contrary, that a golf cart may not cross a state road at a controlled intersection of a city street and state road. Now, there's quite a few more pages that are in your packet that you can go through and read. All of them are say no. Now, We don't wanna see somebody needlessly hurt because they decided to take a wild spin down the highway to get better traction and a better place to ride. And that's why I voted against this a couple of times, and I'm gonna vote against it again tonight. But I think you ought to read this if you haven't already. It's been sent to you, and I think if you read it carefully and digest it, you'll decide that we don't really need a golf cart statute to let them get out on the highways and with so much opposition to it. Because if somebody gets hit or gets hurt, they're gonna come right back here. And they say, you folks, let it happen. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
We will get to the ordinance later. Anybody have any specific comment about what Mr. Ross has said right now?
I thought that, when we talked about this last, that it was stated it was no state road.
Yes, that was gonna be my comment as well. We're not talking about state roads at all.
What?
We're not talking about state highways. Our ordinance does not include state highways.
Yeah, so all that traffic up and down the state roads and the numbers and all, they're not driving golf carts down the state roads. They're only allowed to go in their subdivisions, in their blocks that they live in the back roads.
But they've got to cross.
No.
No,
They're
they're
not
not.
allowed.
I know they're not.
We're not allowing them to
Well,
cross.
they're not allowed to cross, just like a jaywalker's not allowed to cross.
Right.
He might choose to cross, but he's not allowed to cross.
Okay, Ms. Schlenk, if you'd like to come to the podium. And this is strictly for what Mr. Ross said.
Yes.
Okay, because we're gonna get to the rest of it later.
Yeah. Respectfully, Mr. Ross.
If you will pull that thing down. And state your name for the record.
My name is Sylvia Shank, and I'm a resident of the Williston Crossings RV Park, and I'm disabled. And I need, on occasion, to use either a scooter or a golf cart to get around within the confines of the park itself. If you've never been there, you're welcome to come by and say hello. We have an entrance on 121 and another entrance on 5th Street, excuse me. Anyway, my point being, and I think whoever it was in the back here that said it, that report, it pertains primarily to state highway, state road, county road, not county, state. We talked about this in the past, about using the residential exits and a predetermined route on residential, if we're gonna be phase one in the process, using a designated roadway to access into the city and turn around and come back the same way, just like, similar to like a bike lane. It would be pre-marked signage, hopefully, so that, because we do have elderly people in the park that don't understand what a stop sign looks like. It should be.
And if you will, we're drifting into the other discussion.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's just that, trying to make a point that that paperwork and all those figures and all those thousands of people that they counted are all on the state highway.
Exactly.
We weren't trying to do something like that. That would be an idiotic movement, putting people with disabilities driving a golf cart on a highway where they go over 45 miles an hour. If you're going shopping here in town, those 18-wheelers go fly you right by and you're toast. There's no reason to do something like that. But with a little bit of perseverance, I think, and a little bit of more background information, an alternative to accessibility might be the answer.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Appreciate it. No, you're good. Anybody else at this time on Mr. Ross's remarks only? Which is not the ordinance itself. Yes, sir.
getting a little cold, excuse me.
If you will, state your name,
Yeah,
Mr. Dickel.
Walt Nickel with Ray Pierce.
Thank you.
I just wanna, I don't have a stance one way or the other, just wanna make sure you have the information that we have found as we research the ordinance. And Florida statute 316.212, that's what all of this has been based on and guided by. It does say, on section 2, a golf cart may operate on a part of a state highway system only under the following conditions. And then A is to cross a portion of the state highway which intersects a county road or municipal street that has been designated for use of golf carts. If the Department of Transportation has reviewed and approved the location and the design of the crossing and any traffic control devices needed for safety purposes. That is our step 2 and 3.
I started to say that's not on the table tonight.
Yeah.
And to me, it confuses the whole issue because it's not where we are.
Well, it's information.
It is information, but it's not what we're considering tonight. Strictly city streets is what we're considering. In your own neighborhood.
Well,
is what we're talking about.
If I can add a correction to that, it is an ordinance to allow golf carts on city streets. There could be the crossing as part of our.
Yes, but we're not there yet. It's not in this ordinance.
It is the next step that we do once the ordinance is passed.
Which we may or may not take.
If we decide to do that.
So just want to make that clear.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I think we also need to consider the cost of outfitting, use one word, the city to handle such as that. We've got streets out there now that need repair bad. And we're talking about building new ones and doing different things like that. They're gonna cost money to operate this program. And I didn't see anything that gave us the
I think what.
Building new streets or sidewalks.
Now, they're assessing the streets we have now to see if they're capable of handling the traffic of a golf cart and a car.
Just for safety. They're just riding the streets to make sure they're safe.
Wright Pierce is gonna tell us whether they meet the criteria or not. We're not building any new streets. If they don't meet the criteria, you're right, we would have to upgrade them or take them off the list.
Yeah, or shut that street down the way you cannot drive a golf cart down that street if it's not safe.
And hopefully they won't.
That's right. We'll have to send it out to everybody so they know what the rules are. That's exactly what we'll have to do. Anything else on this issue before we move to the ordinance itself? Okay, we'll move to item C. Anybody else? Am I hearing something down there? No. Just get prepared. You're getting prepared, aren't you? Okay, we're gonna open the public hearing. We're moving to item C. This is the second and final reading of ordinance 2023-709, an ordinance of the city of Williston, Florida, providing authority for golf cart operations on city streets within the city of Williston, creating chapter 64 golf cart, article 1 golf cart operation, article 2 golf cart parking of the city of Williston Code of Ordinances, entitled Use of Golf Carts on Designated Streets, repealing all ordinance in the conflict and providing an effective date. City Manager Brevard and Attorney Kirsten Ballou.
All right, council, this is the second reading of this ordinance, as you know. So this one is the operation. The parking is the next ordinance, so we're just going to talk about the operation in this one. The only edit that you'll see here, I'm not sure if it's reflected in your packets.
It's not.
Okay, but the edit has been made that we've removed Florida driver's license and just put driver's license.
It still says Florida in what we have in our packet.
Okay, so that edit has been noted for revision. The other thing that I want to sort of point out that Terry and I discussed today was we do want to make clear that this ordinance only impacts city streets. It only impacts city streets because we do not have the authority to authorize golf cart use on any street that the city does not own. So if the city doesn't own it, we can't say golf carts are permitted to operate on those streets, because we're simply not permitted to do that. Even if we did, right, and pass an ordinance that says they can operate on state highways, it would have no effect.
Right.
So I do want to make that clear. So to the extent that there are county roads, state highways, that kind of thing, we cannot and do not authorize golf cart use on those roads. Only city-owned and operated roads. To make that clarification.
And just a question while you're right there. If there's a county road and we want to designate it, we would have to give a list of those county roads to the county and ask them to do it for us.
Correct. Or you would have to obtain ownership of the roads.
Okay.
Those are your two options.
They would love for us to do that, I'm sure. Anything else?
That's all.
Okay. All right, so I guess we'll discuss it. Like I said, second and final reading. It is a public hearing. I'll ask you first if you have any statements you want to make or anything you want to ask. If not, I want to open up to the public. Mr. Mayor.
I would like a little clarification, because in this ordinance 709, it addresses golf cart parking. And you specifically said that that was coming up in a future ordinance. But it's in this one.
I actually had the same question.
I think that it's just an issue with the way that our agenda item is written, rather than the ordinance itself.
So it's inaccurate.
The agenda item, yes, not the ordinance. So if the title of the ordinance doesn't reference the parking,
So Article 2 needs to come out of the statement.
Exactly, it's in there. Right.
So are we saying you're removing number 2 before you vote on it?
Well, it's just in the title. It's not actually in the ordinance. That's what she's saying. It's not written into the ordinance.
Oh, into the body of the ordinance.
It's just written.
It's just inaccurate on the paper.
Just the title. It's written into the title, and it's actually because it's written there because it's telling us where to put it.
Correct. When Latricia and I discussed where this ordinance was going to go in your list of ordinances, so you can put it in your code, those were the 2 articles that are being created for the 2 separate ordinances. So it looks like they just both got put in each ordinance.
Thank you.
Great question. I actually had it myself. All right, so public hearing. This is your opportunity. Mr. Nickel, we'll start with you.
Walt Nickel with Great Bears. I think we have a little bit, I want to correct what Kirsten stated there, because if I go again to Florida Statute 316.212 in how it relates to county roads, because I think what you stated there, it's a little bit different for a county road, and I'll read it. A golf cart may operate only upon a county road that has been designated by a county, a municipal street that has been designated by a municipality, or a two-lane county road located in the jurisdiction of a municipality designated by that municipality for use as golf carts. So if we have a county road in the municipality of Williston, you have the authority to allow golf carts on there or not. So that there's a slight distinction on county roads.
It is a very big distinction.
Doesn't apply to state.
Fantastic.
Yes, it is
distinction.
fantastic.
Thank you.
So it doesn't apply to state, but the county, any county road in the city, you have the authority to.
What was that number?
That's Florida Statute 316.212.
Yeah, I think it's in our packet. The Florida statute is actually in our packet.
So that's item number 1, that right at the beginning of
Right.
that statute. So it does address, handles a county road a little bit different.
Excellent point. I like it. Okay. Anybody else? Public hearing. Pro and con. Mr. Robinson.
Jerry Robinson. Have the city streets been identified for golf cart use, or is this another, you're gonna do this later?
There is a map in the foyer. I don't know if it's complete, but Wright Pierce has done a map. It's in the foyer if anybody wants to look at it.
But is that attached to this ordinance to be approved for those city streets?
I don't know if it's, there are references to Exhibit A and B, but I'm not sure it's part of it. Yeah, give him the podium. Yeah, give you the podium, he don't wanna get close to you. Sorry.
Yeah, the ordinance is written that it refers to the map. The map is going to be a living document. We are going to, if the ordinance passes, we don't want to expend the time, the effort, your money to be doing something to evaluate those roads if this isn't gonna go beyond. So once this goes beyond, nothing happens until a map is generated, so.
And signs go up.
And signs go up, yeah,
Right.
that's the two things, we're gonna evaluate the road, so it may happen in sections. You know, we're gonna evaluate them over a 2-week period. It may take, months to get the signs or to put them up, so it doesn't happen until the signs go up. So it's a living document. The diagram that's in the hallway there, those were the initial streets that the city had indicated. We're gonna evaluate those that are highlighted. They may not all make it. There may be cross slopes that are too fine for a car, but too steep for a golf cart. They tip easier. Just some things of that nature where we're looking for stability and things like that
Right.
would dictate that. But that would happen if the ordinance is accepted and passed.
Perfect.
Then that would go. But those would be added to the map sequentially, basically. So the map will be coming.
Okay, since that's the case, if this passes, when will the ordinance take effect?
When the signs are up, and when the evaluation has been done on the streets, or when the signs are put up.
Okay, so there's no,
And I understand it's as the signs go up, that street is available. They don't have to all be up, but as the sign, that's what we discussed at a previous meeting. That as the sign goes up on the road, that road becomes available.
so if it's approved tonight, you still can't drive the golf cart?
Right, that's correct.
Correct.
Yes, because we haven't assessed all of the streets. Those are just the ones that have been highlighted by the city.
Yeah, right.
Haven't assessed the streets, and the signage hasn't even been ordered yet.
Okay, all right. I do have some procedural questions. Are all golf carts that utilize city streets going to be inspected for safety reasons and proper equipment?
No.
If so,
The answer is
who's going
no.
to conduct the inspection? That is not spelled out in ordinance 709.
Yeah, they only inspect them if they buy a parking ticket, a parking pass, parking.
Okay.
That's state law. Nothing we can do about that. I understand.
Are all golf carts that utilize city streets required to have a permit?
No,
Okay.
only the ones that have a parking pass.
And what if they're caught parking somewhere on the city property and they don't have a permit?
That you get a ticket. It's either a moving violation or a non-moving violation, depending on what they do.
Okay.
And all right.
And those particular things are written into the ordinance and the state. They're written in state code, in state law, as to which ones are moving violations and which ones are non-moving violations.
Okay. And I know I'm going on 710 here, but bear with me a second. I know you're not there yet, but under ordinance 710, it is noticed that Williston PD will conduct golf cart inspections. Since golf carts cannot cross 2741, 121, how are users going to get to the PD
Let's
for
wait
inspection?
let's wait till we get there for that one. Because I'm
Okay.
being told we
What is the cost for the golf cart parking permit?
We don't know yet, and it says that in the ordinance, that it has not been assessed.
You're going to pass an ordinance. It seems like there's a lot of stuff that you don't know yet.
We have to pass it before we do any, expend money.
Oh, okay.
Why expend money
Seems
before
like
you do
I've
it?
heard that before somewhere.
Oh, my word.
But I'm not even going to say that.
Thank you.
Okay. And what's the cost for the signs and how many, and also the cost for the permit decal?
Don't know yet.
Gotta do the survey.
We have to know how many we need before we know how much they
Gotta run
cost.
the roads and know how many signs we need.
Okay, I'll wait till this question here.
Thank you. Anyone else, pro or con? It is a public meeting.
I do want to make a
Yes, please.
clarification
Yes, please.
briefly, is that the golf carts will not be inspected because we can't require that they be inspected to drive. However, there are requirements for golf carts. They have to be equipped with certain equipment, and it will be up to our fine police officers if they see a golf cart that doesn't seem to have that proper equipment to pull them over, and then the violations are spelled out, both in Florida statute and
Yeah, the Florida statute says they must have brakes, proper steering, safe tires, rear view mirror, and red reflectors on the front and rear. And if it is at nighttime between sundown and sunup, then they have to have additional items, headlights, taillights, turn signals, windshield. And we can't require anything else because the state law won't let us. A cup holder, gotta have a cup holder, right? Cup holder. Yes, sir.
So, I'll take the hit on the signs. It was a management philosophy in my mind that if I'm not gonna spend $8,000 on signs that I can't use if you don't pass the ordinance. And believe it or not, today, for this city, $8,000 is a lot of money. So my goal was to make sure the ordinance passed, and if the ordinance passed, then we would obviously purchase the signs after the assessment was done, and obviously then have the employees put them up. So,
Excellent decision.
well, I hope so.
Excellent decision.
But do we have an idea how much this equipment is gonna cost?
Yes, I have a very good estimate from our sign people in the utilities department that may cost us roughly about $8,000.
Mr. Bishop.
That estimate, hello, that estimate is correct with the exception of inflation in the metal market at that time, so I doubt it's gonna go down, but it could go up. And it also dictates on how many roads do we put on, that we don't know we're gonna put on as of this moment, so the number is fluid.
Got it. Thank you for that information. Anybody else? Pro or con? Yes, ma'am. I gotta come back to the podium though. I'm sorry, Sylvia.
Okay.
Because now we're here, you can say what you want to say.
I just, in order to maybe expedite that expenditure that you're talking about, why couldn't we have a sticker from the city council, city Williston, that permit sticker, and put a price on it?
We will do that for the parking permits, but the other people that don't buy a parking permit will not have to pay anything.
So,
because the state says we can't charge them. Yeah.
So on the
we had all intentions of doing it that way, but we can't.
On the signs, if the ordinance obviously passes tonight, the signs will be ordered tomorrow.
Thank you.
When I was down this morning to a county, went in and talked to a couple of the golf cart places, and they said that, yes, Ocala does not require, permits for on there. But, like for us in Woodfield subdivision, we could go in there and say, it's a $25 fee.
In your subdivision.
If you had a homeowners association, you could do
And
that.
that's what the gentleman was explaining to me. Was that
If you have an active
Shh. Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think a homeowners association could assess a permit fee.
Right, because they'll make sure there's
in there.
headlights, they'll make sure there's seat belts and everything.
You need additional requirements, because seatbelts are not required by the state. I wish they were, but they're not.
And you bring up seat belts. In the paperwork or the emails that we were sent for the agenda, the accidents that we read about, to me, comes across as they weren't wearing seat belts.
Yeah, they all need a seatbelt on.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, who did I see? Mr. Fuller, would you like to add comment? I saw your hand.
Albert Fuller, I am a resident of the city of Williston.
Thank you.
My concern that I have is golf carts being operated even with the equipment that we say they should have. And there's no way to look, no way to see for an officer or anyone else to determine if they have such equipment and if it's working. And my concern more is for brakes. A lot of people can get hurt, especially children, who are in the way of that golf cart. If there is no way for that golf cart to be inspected other than having a parking permit, and I suggest that maybe the ones that are not going to have working equipment will not get a parking permit.
Oh, they won't.
And so that still leaves a concern in my mind as to safety, and I am concerned about my neighborhood.
Chief Ross.
To address Mr. Fuller's concern, it's just like your vehicle. If you're driving down the road and you have a brake light, we can stop you. We can see that. Okay? It's just like your car. You can drive your car down the road. I don't know if you have brakes or not. I have no clue. We have no inspections in the state of Florida for vehicles at all. So there's no difference. There's no vehicle inspections and there's no golf cart inspections unless we notice that the vehicle does not have the proper working equipment, such as if your brake lights wasn't working, we would stop you and check and say, hey, your brake light's not working, you need to get it fixed.
The unfortunate thing is the brake lights will work even if the brakes don't work.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Okay,
A car will stop. A car's brake lights will show if it goes beyond a certain point, and the same with the golf cart. And so my suggestion or my concern is still working equipment, and somebody needs to be concerned about it as well. It's whatever working
We can only do what the
equipment.
state allows us to do. Our original intent was to do that. We were going to have everybody line up to get a sticker, and we were going to do that. And then we got to looking at the state law, and our attorney informed us that we could not do that. And they came up with a brilliant idea of selling a parking permit so that we could at least inspect those right there. Mm-hmm. So it was at least part of them, which I thought Mr. Nickel helped us come up with that idea. I think it was a brilliant idea.
I guess so, but it's probably a useless parking permit because the ones that will pass will get the parking permit, the others will not. So that can go through, and the county and the city may make a little money off the parking permits, but that's about all it is.
We won't even break even, but we can only do what the state will let us do.
And I'm really surprised that the state has not addressed this more, because there's more and more communities that's allowing it. High Springs, Thursday night, either it was their first reading or whatever, is allowing golf carts. So there's more and more. I think the state's got to get into it now and come up with regulations for us.
The police department doesn't necessarily need to target, but I think the ones without parking permits probably should be looked at a little bit more closely.
I'm sure they will as they go down the street. They are allowed to, just like they are every vehicle that goes down the street. Mr. Bullock.
This thing won't static up, but like the police chief said, I mean, we can't tell if a vehicle's going down the road, if their brakes work or do not work. I've rode a mini bike in my life that did not have brakes, and you put your feet on the ground and stop the bike when you're coming in. So, I mean, we can't control those things that you're saying. Nobody can control that.
Well, that Flintstone operation doesn't happen with the golf cart.
They don't have an automobile either. But people are driving without brakes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Pro or con?
Madam President.
I'm hearing somebody. Person, thank you.
I was actually at the High Springs meeting on Thursday night when they did pass the ordinance, and I do want to let you all know that they have the same concerns that you all have regarding the inspection. They have the same qualms with the limitations of the state law. Many communities do. I know that Newberry, when they passed their ordinance, they had the exact same concerns and qualms. And so, you're not alone in your thinking that there are a lot of limitations on the municipalities, but there are success stories out there for you to take a look at.
Thank you. Anybody else? Before we ask for a motion, we probably should have had a motion already. We've had all this discussion. So Somebody bring Mr. Bullock a new one. There you go. I like that. Purge. Take it. Anybody else? Okay, so second reading of ordinance 2023-709.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the second reading of ordinance 2023-709.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. To have any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Motion carries. Thank you. You have your marching orders, Mr. Nickel, and utility staff to assist. Item D, second reading of ordinance 2023-710, an ordinance of the City of Williston, Florida, establishing a golf cart parking permit program in accordance with applicable Florida law, repealing all ordinances in conflict and providing an effective date. I believe that this one would be Article 2 under Chapter 64, just for clarification. And this is for City Manager Bavard and Attorney Cristobaldi.
All right, so this is the parking ordinance that we were talking about. You are correct that this will go under Article 2 of Chapter 64. It has not changed since the last time we brought it in front of you. So this is your second reading.
It is a open public hearing. This is included in that. If you have anything to say pro or con regarding the parking permit, I'll hear you now. If not, I'll entertain a motion for second reading of ordinance 2023-710.
Oh.
Mr. Robbins, I'm sorry, I missed you. Oh, you have to be quicker.
I'm old.
Yes, I knew you had a question earlier. I should have known
That's all right, not
to
a problem.
watch. Sorry.
Parking permits going to be inspected by the police to make sure that they're street worthy and have the necessary equipment. Since the golf carts can't cross 2741 and 121, how are they getting to the PD, or will the PD take away from their normal calls and make individual calls to the house to inspect the golf cart? How's that going to be done?
Not really sure. It's up to the police chief.
It's no different than when we do VIN verifications. When people call in and have us verify their VINs on vehicles, we take that as a call for service and we go and take care of it. Or if the owner or operator wants to, they can load it on a trailer and bring it to the PD, and we can do it there.
A lot of them trailer them to other other cities,
Yes.
campgrounds, other places anyway.
Yes.
They're used to doing that. Yeah.
I have somebody who took one from Cedar Key to Ocala to be inspected.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Did I see another hand? Miss Sylvia, you have to come back. I'm sorry. What we do is record it, and then you have to be at the microphone for the recording. Thank you.
I'm Sylvia Shank again. Sorry, I keep popping up.
You're good.
But as far as crossing the city streets that are intermingling with 121 and Noble Avenue, there are designated crossways. The manual.
Not for golf carts.
Not for golf carts. Those are for walking people only.
Not right now. We may, as Mr. Nickel has alluded to, we may move there next.
Okay.
And I know they've done some study on that already on our behalf. But right now, this is strictly in your northeast section of town.
Okay.
You can't pass Noble because it's a federal highway,
Yes.
and you can't pass Main, I'm saying it backwards here,
I was not aware.
because it's a federal highway.
That particular designated crossing was public, opening to anyone.
Pedestrians only.
Yeah, if you look at the sign, it shows someone walking.
Yeah, and the state statute addresses that as well. It has to be, FDOT, the Florida Department of Transportation, does major studies. That's what all that Miss Willis was rolling by a while ago that you saw, all that red and yellow. Those were some of the studies of what they call signaled crossings. And I'm told that signaled crossing at 4th Street will most likely qualify for a crossing, but probably the only one from what I can hear. But we have not gone there yet, and Florida Department of Transportation has not reviewed it yet.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
To add on to that, to clarify briefly, you will see a sign that says golf carts may cross here if golf carts are permitted to cross. So if you don't see that sign, please do not drive your golf cart across any crossing.
Or look to see if there's a police officer around.
No, just don't do it. Yeah. If it's state or federal, which Williston is covered in federal highways, and what's not federal turns into a state when you go out 121. So even that's one of the places, and I would tell that to Mr. Nickel. That's one of the first places I would probably put a crossing is across 121 from the backside of the RV park to Homestead Park. That's one of the first places I would consider. Because they all want to go over there and they want to ride their cart.
They go there a lot.
They do that now, don't tell me that. Don't tell me they do that now. Okay, so we're ready for a motion.
All right, I'll make the motion that we approve the second reading of ordinance 2023-710.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Do I have any further discussion from anybody? Anybody else? Oh, no, Mr. Mills is not there. I'm assuming there's nobody online that's involved in this discussion. All right, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Motion carries. We will close the public hearing at this time. Move to item E, which is resolution 2023-22, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, approving the State of Florida Department of Transportation Public Transportation Grant Agreement for financially, am I saying that wrong? Financially project, I can't possibly be right. Financial project, that's an odd thing. For project number 442505-3-94-23 regarding the Williston Municipal Airport, design and construction of building site infrastructure for a new general aviation terminal, authorizing appropriate parties to sign any documents required to execute such agreement on behalf of the City of Williston and providing an effective date. Airport Manager Stiegel.
Yes, ma'am. This PTGA is a grant from the state to supplement a federal grant that we received. So the airport has been awarded so much money from the bipartisan infrastructure law annually. And what we're planning on doing is using 3 years of that bipartisan infrastructure money to lay the foundation and infrastructure work for the new terminal building. But that grant is only a 90% grant. So this PTGA is the 10% to cover the rest of it.
Okay, and that's what I saw as well. The full, just for the audience, the full grant is $655,556. Of that, the Florida Department of Transportation, which is what we're looking at now, the 10% is $65,556, with the Florida Federal Aviation Administration paying $590,000, which is their other 90%. And this is for discussion of terminal design and construction. Okay, any questions for Mr. Stiegel? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
You said the other 10% that was coming out of your fund, out of the thing, or who's paying the other 10%?
This is the 10%.
This is the 10%.
The one we're looking at now is the 10%, but you already got the 90.
Okay.
That's why this one's only 65,000 and change, because it's only the 10%. Okay, entertain a motion for resolution 2023-22.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-22.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, sir. Discussion with possible action, animal shelter name. City Manager.
All right, thank you, Madam President. So we come to one of the final steps in the taking of the animal shelter, and that is the potential naming of that shelter and what do we want to call it. So I can assure you Wackus will not be one, but there are several people that have actually tendered potential names for the animal shelter, which you have in your packet. One of the first one up is Mr. Eccles, who, as you know, without his funding, none of this would be possible. None. And of course, his recommendation is the Reverence for Life shelter, which we could add more to that, animal shelter, community animal shelter, whatever. But the Reverence of Life has a specific meaning in Albert Schweitzer, who Mr. Eccles lives by that motto. To read you just a little, if you're not familiar with who he is, ethics, or Schweitzer wrote, ethics is nothing other than reverence for life. Reverence for life affords me my fundamental principles of morality, namely that good consists in maintaining, assisting, enhancing life, and destroy or harm or hinder life is evil. It goes on to state, if you'll give me just a few more minutes. The Reverence for Life says that only things we are really sure of is that we live and want to go on living. This is something that we share with everything else that lives, from elephants to blades of grass, and of course every human being. So we as brothers and sisters to all living things owe to all of them the same care and respect we wish to others. So you never really realize that till you meet Bob Eccles, and you realize when you go out to lunch with him, he takes home a potato to his wife and never eats. I'm not sure what he does eat, but I can tell you what he doesn't. And that certainly is animals and living things. So there are some other options here that we can name the shelter, but I would be probably disappointed if we did not roll that into the name somewhere.
Well, if I may, I made a statement at the beginning to the mayor when we very first started that when I found out the amount of money that he donated, I said immediately to him that I felt like we should name the shelter after him.
That's what I said.
And he said,
we tried.
Not name the shelter after me, period.
Sometimes in life things happen.
Can we not think of a way to do it anyway?
Yeah.
Can we not think of a way to do it anyway?
I have a suggestion, if I may.
Of course.
Mr. Eccles, there are other ways to recognize his contribution other than naming the shelter after him. One of those ways is simply a plaque on the front acknowledging his contributions to us. You're not naming the shelter after him. We've got this Mr. Carson, who I guess has managed to leave.
He's here.
He put the address in the center of that front building. That leaves of the front porch of the building. No, they call them 911 addresses.
Okay.
They're required.
Yeah.
On either side of that would be very good place to put plaques for whatever, and one of them would be Mr. Eccles saying, perhaps not his name, because he is very insistent that he does not want his name there. He did not do this to get his name there. He was adamant about that. But there is the other option of, on the front of that porch, on the column that goes across the front, there's room for plaques on both sides of Mr. Carson's thing. And I think that whether you choose, it's your choice, it's your building, but whether you use his saying or some other method of acknowledging his contribution, I think that would both satisfy the need to acknowledge and satisfy the fact that he doesn't want it named after him.
Okay, thank you for that. I kind of like, I'm not real thrilled with Reverence for Life as the name, because you can't even tell what it is, or that it's for cats and dogs. but I like the idea of a plaque that quotes what Reverence for Life is. And we could attribute it to Albert Schweitzer, but we could also say thanks to Mr. Eccles.
Thanks to Mr. Eccles for this information.
Yeah, or for your
Any
your
way you want
dedication
to
to
do
the
it,
animals
other than
of Williston. Yeah.
name the building after him. He adamantly does not want that to be done.
Okay.
And
I've asked him personally.
And this is a non-kill shelter?
It is.
It was designed as a non-kill shelter, but it no longer belongs to us, so we can't say that anymore. That's for the council to decide.
Because the name would actually fit Reverence for Life.
It would.
So-
I would never debate that.
So,
I'm not crazy about the name.
yeah, the ideal of a no-kill shelter, and Mr. Carson would be more than happy to get up here and explain this to, even your shelters that absolutely have a position of no-kill cannot.
Like the Humane Society.
From time to time.
Yes, they have to sometimes. They have no option but to.
That's correct.
You have to consider that although this is also a municipality shelter for animals, that we have to enforce codes and law violations also with it. So we would hope that it would be, absolutely,
The goal
is to be a no-kill
is
shelter.
to be a no-kill shelter.
I can tell you that I like almost all of the others.
Mhm.
And I like the Reverence for Life quote with the meaning of what that means on the plaque, even if we have it cut out of metal, so that it
Well,
looks.
if you had paws and claws, you wouldn't.
I like paws and claws. I like paws and claws. I probably would add paws and claws animal shelter. Or, they probably would know what it is, or rescue, paws and claws rescue, maybe.
I don't know if I like the word adoption. I mean, are you really adopting an animal, or is it more of a donation?
I think they're going to do adoptions.
We will be doing.
Built that shelter, I have to jump in here. We built that shelter with the goal of not imprisoning animals, but making it a place where people would want to go to adopt animals. The entire goal in my heart is to be able to adopt those animals out. Now, I'm not advocating that for a name, but the adoption, I have to tell you, the ladies and the people that did that name, Williston Community Animal Shelter, We Care, it struck a chord in my heart. And I saw that and I said, Williston Community Animal Shelter. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. Why couldn't we just name it? And no one has told me to do this. I'm in tricky ground here, but Williston Community Animal Shelter is a normal name for a shelter, and there's no reason why that shelter can't be named that, because I had nothing to do with it. They made a little sign that shows we care. And that's really what it's supposed to be about. We care.
I don't know where the R comes from, but it's like we cuss. It is a rescue. It is an adoption center. Chief Ross.
I just want to ask the question. I believe in the last meeting, city manager read that the donor was requesting that we name the shelter, whatever that is, Reverence for Life.
No, he did
It
not.
was his suggestion. It wasn't, he didn't request that we do it.
He was asked to have it named after him, and he said, I don't want it named after me, but if you want a name, this is a suggestion.
Okay, so it was a suggestion.
Yes.
Well, the reason I was asking the question is he made a substantial donation. And I think somewhere in there we need to take that in consideration, because we don't know if that's going to be, if there's going to be another donation, or there may be something else he may want to come back to do. We want to take his suggestion
Seriously.
and apply it to what he's asking.
I think he would be fine with us putting it on the wall.
I think that if that can be our ethos of how we operate, then I would be satisfied with that. As
I'd
we
actually
move
rather
forward.
give the explanation by putting the plaque on the wall and giving the explanation than just naming it that.
Yeah. And I will tell you that the Williston Community Animal Shelter, Wackus,
I wish you would use that.
That's what it is, it's not we care, it's wackos.
The Williston Community Animal Shelter is what it's always been known at for us, the board who helped build it. You know, I just think that if we, whatever we name it, and that's why we brought it to the board, you know, is that as long as I think is that the mission, the of our shelter, the ethos that we operate moving forward, has that meaning of the reverence for life in it. And that we understand that when we operate out of that shelter. It should be driven into every volunteer that comes there.
Orientation.
To every employee that comes there. If you read anything about Albert Schweitzer, it's pretty significant when you start reading it. And I never even heard of the man until I met Bob Eccles. So, but Mr. Eccles is a very humble individual. He will not allow us to name it after him. My intentions was to name the building after him the whole time, and he has some pretty serious,
strong opinion.
Strong opinion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Strong opinions about that. So I punt to y'all.
I agree. I don't care for the name, but I would want the plaque.
Me too. The plaque with the explanation of why that's our mission, our vision, like you say. And I don't like the word shelter because I think it's more than a shelter. I think it's a rescue. It's an adoption center.
Fantastic.
I mean, I think it
I'm
needs to
serious.
be.
I think that's wonderful.
It's not just a shelter. They're not just there to be sheltered. They're there for adoption and they're there to be rescued. So I'm going to talk about this all night.
You could.
I knew it was going to get us when we got here.
Yeah. Or you could just pick one.
You go shopping with people?
No, sir.
The guy, let's pick it up, let's go.
Reference for Life.
No.
Animal shelter.
No. That's going to go on the plaque.
And I don't like Paws and Claws. That sounds like it's a hotel
It
or
sounds
something.
like
for an
It
animal.
sounds like a resort or a boarding facility.
Pooch parlor.
I don't know what that
Close to
is.
Community Animal Shelter. I don't see what's wrong with that.
Oh, yes.
Keep it as it is.
Come to the podium.
Williston Community Animal Shelter.
Thank you.
Be done with it.
Be done with it.
How about we change it to Williston
Shop
Community
some,
Animal Rescue?
do other shopping.
Our recovery.
If we do Williston Community Animal Rescue, we can say we care. I know we do. I was waiting on you. Mr. Fuller.
This does not seem like the forum to come up with a name. I don't know what the time frame is for coming up with one, but it just seems more like the people that are more involved may have a task force to just come up with a name.
They brought us these.
Well, it seems like they could do the choosing and bring one name before the board
Never works.
for approval.
It never works, believe me.
If I may ask, we don't, who do you mean by the people?
Whoever is most involved, or a task force if it can be named.
I think that's us.
That's,
And how about Williston Community Animal Rescue?
I'm fine with any name you want.
And that's We Care.
Let's move on.
That's We Care. That's We Care. Williston Community Animal Rescue. See, we've got it done. We just had and this is the only time we can talk to each other. With the plaque for the Reverence for Life, Albert Schweitzer quote.
And the mission of how we move forward using that.
I believe, didn't the council put the city planner in charge of that, or did the city manager put the city planner in charge of that?
Animal control comes under her.
Under the city planner.
Yeah.
So, we have, you're agreeing you want one plaque. I will tell you, I'm anal retentive about this. You need to let Laura bring you a second plaque to balance that building.
Yeah.
And I want no part of it, but.
Well, I'm surprised she's not here tonight.
Can we do one plaque
She's
on one
much
side with the
deserved
Reference
vacation.
for Life quote, and then a plaque on the other side?
I mean, I see
with
two
his
already.
name and
He doesn't want his name on that shelter.
Well, we're gonna put it on the quote.
I think I can come up.
Yeah, you can, I know you
Oh,
can.
that's fine. City manager, city planner, anybody but me.
Mr. Barber has the floor.
Laura wasn't here, so I figured I'd state there was an idea to do a second plaque, and it was going to be something to do with military or service dogs for police or something of that as part of a memorial to cover that subject there. That was just one idea that was floated around.
Like a military canine.
Correct. That was one
I know
idea.
she's been collecting money for a while for that subject. I've seen the containers. If anybody would like to donate, I'm sure she'd take your money. Thank you for that, Mr. Barber. All right, so do we need a motion, or y'all just gonna run with it? Okay. All right. I think we'll do it by consensus. All right, so we will then move to discussion with possible action, Levy County composting. All right, I put this on the agenda because I was told that there would be people here tonight who wanted to discuss it. We did. Williston Community Animal Rescue is what we came up with.
That's official.
Yes, for the record.
Well, if you're listening, it's official.
Does she live up there or is she online?
She lives in my heart.
Okay, good. All right, so I put this subject on here because I was informed that there were people in our community who wanted to discuss this because of the close proximity to the composting issue to our neighboring border to the east. I have talked to many people about it, those that are in favor and those who, there really aren't as though for or against at the moment, because it's really not on anybody's agenda at the moment. We're told somebody's bought the property, this is what their intent is, but there is no agenda item for the county. You received Commissioner Brooks's letter today. I had conversations with him over the weekend, and he told me he was going to write this for us. And as he says, it is their legislative process, not ours. The people that I thought were going to be here tonight are not here tonight. There may be some here that are here for that reason, I'm not sure. So I guess I'll just open this up and say, does anybody want to discuss this? If you're here to discuss this, let's hear it. If not, we're going to postpone it, table it, what I'm going to call it, and wait for the county to move. It is definitely a county issue. And I have my little notes written here, and it's weight. And the only reason we're talking about it is because of the location. And as his letter says, DEP, EPA, and the Water Management District govern these things. All they're doing is looking at their codes. They've been looking at their land development codes from top to bottom for probably the last year. This one has come to the forefront because of the interest in doing this. And it is in our municipal service district, so we will have something to say about it if we want to. It is in the municipal service district for the city of Williston. And I myself have pros and cons in my own brain. So if nobody wants to discuss it, we're going to just table it and wait to see what the county does. There is a hearing on May the 9th from 3:30 to 5:30. The problem with that is we have our swearing in is at 6 o'clock on that same night for our two new council members.
May 9th at what time?
3:30 to 5:30 is the land use public workshop on composting. And what it amounts to is they have nothing in their land development regulations that permits it or doesn't, or prohibits it. Nothing that allows it and nothing that prohibits it. It's just not there at all, even by special exception. So I know that there have been ordinances that have been submitted for consideration that have not yet been considered. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Marvin Johnson. And I'm just listening to this and it's saying compost. What are they talking about? Because you're saying they are considered doing it.
Yeah.
let's be honest, they're gonna do it.
And I don't
It's
know,
just a matter
nobody
of
has
what's false.
officially said.
Right, but it's there, well, you know, when you start talking, let's be real about it, but what's the location? I'm not familiar with it, but you say we're compost, that's not good for neighbors and people
And
that's
what
got
I
smells
I saw in a county packet,
Okay.
a county agenda packet.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going to that meeting, I'll get
Yeah.
like swearing in that night.
Well, if we rush back, we can still do that, but it'll be pushing it. We could go to the front half of it, not the back half of it.
Okay, you say that's on the 9th of May?
Yes, sir.
At-
The 9th of May from 3:30 to 5:30. And what it amounts to is someone has purchased land.
Right.
They haven't really said that's what they're gonna do with it, but
Right.
it seems to be around.
Right.
So what do you do with something that's just hearsay?
The land is in the county.
The land is in
It's
the county.
I understand that, but at the same time, you're talking about it here, and I'm in the city, but you know, it's still Willis.
It's
to me.
out 27 toward Ocala.
Okay. All right. I'll get more information. I just wanted to make sure.
There are maps in the county paperwork that I have
But
seen.
when you have people that actually have to live and breathe this stuff, let's be honest, would anybody on this council want that? If somebody wants to, you know, put a compost, whether it was in the county or in the city, you gotta have the wind blowing, how you gonna sleep at night? And these are the things that the county, and I'll be asking them the same question I'm standing here doing now, because I know what it's like. I've worked on horse farms, and you know what it's like. You got to get out there, you got to inhale that stuff, and so if you're living in it, you got to do it 24/7. That's not very nice.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, so if we have no one, yes, ma'am, please come and state your name for the record, if you will, and your city of residence.
My name is Kanisha Carnegie. I live in, the city is my address. Actually, I live in Raleigh.
Yes, ma'am.
I hope I'm welcome.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I do agree with what he was saying about the smell and all. I'm a little familiar with that. I am here for that reason, so I don't want to let this time pass me by. I do understand it's going to be addressed again in May with the county.
Yes.
Okay, but I would like to say that my concern is also for the residents in that area. It's a little past East Williston, but as we know, that's considered the lesser part of town already. And
Don't say that.
Well, I mean, I'm just being honest. It's already.
It's farther out than that. It's
not what I
way
mean,
past
but
our
I think
city
y'all know
limits.
what I mean. So what I'm saying is, we already got enough out there that's up the grade as, a lot of things is being built, nothing's being built out there. So obviously there's a reason for that. So if we're gonna continue we're only gonna lessen the value of where it's already at. I do think there's the smell and all, that's gonna be a big factor. People's living out there and it's gonna, and then you have that RV crossing.
That's my biggest concern right there, is it's not too far from the RV park.
Right, and some people, they already probably have health issues. A lot of people live out there are low income people, and they may not even can afford insurance. I'm just saying, there's a lot of different concerns, and I think that, I'm sorry?
It's not far from where I live.
Okay, well, I was mentioning about because it is, and in addition to that, from my understanding, not only what my concern is, I retired from the sheriff's office. I don't know, y'all might remember I did 20 years in Lee County, but I have seen a lot of guys that used to sell drugs and used to do a lot of things that was they wasn't doing their part as a man in their home. That they've been employed by Williston Timber. They've been employed by people that this company coming to this town will affect these jobs. They're not, from my understanding, they're not hiring. A lot of their people that they have hired is from Marion County or different areas. We want to continue to support the ones that's here in our county that's actually trying to work for a living and have a change of life and be men in their houses. Some of them don't have education. They didn't go to college, but they decide they're working. They bought a truck. They're running wood. They're doing things that they're able to do with their education.
Right.
And Mr. Hodge has given them a great opportunity to do that. And I wanted to speak on that because after I retired, I purchased 2 trucks myself. So I ended up at the mechanic shop with a lot of ex-drug dealers and a lot of people that I was impressed and I was happy to see. And it actually formed a bridge between ex-law enforcement and people that's changed their lives trying to make an honest living.
Right.
And I just, that's what I want. That's my little spiel on it. And if I have to say that again, I will. But I do think that it's not a good idea for the community.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to table it at that point, and we will move to our next item, which is discussion with possible action, hot patch pavement and street repair. Mr. Barber.
Thank you, Council President. The Public Works Department has been unable to acquire cold patch. This is to continue our program to repair pavements or streets. It appears to be a problem that many communities and municipalities are coping with, including counties surrounding area. Staff is asking for a budget amendment out of reserves to purchase and repair the most critical spots of concern throughout the city of Williston. We've currently identified between 7 and 10 spots, and we would like to make a series of 2 or 3 repairs with a few batches of the hot patch while the cold patch becomes available.
Very quickly, explain the difference between cold patch and hot patch.
So cold patch is a temporary replacement of pavement. It is when a repair is made, we let the subgrade settle for a few days, come back, we put in something that's just a mixture, it's wet, we tamp it down, but it's never really a permanent replacement. It just kind of tides you over until you can redo that street in its entirety. It's something that we've used for years. It is primarily our main focus of repair when we have to dig up the street for any kind of line replacement or leak repair or something of that nature. It's typically something that has to be redone consistently from year to year. Usually they last 6 months, because as you run over it, and let's say the hole is a wide hole longer than a foot, and the tire gets in it, it starts to squish the ends out and starts to compress the middle. So it's something that's a great tool. It's inexpensive. It gets the pavement to where we're not damaging vehicles and we're not spreading lime rock or dirt, but it's not a permanent repair. The hot patch, even if cold patch was available, there are a few critical spots in town, major repairs or line extensions that we've done that almost sometimes cover the entirety of an intersection or cross both directions of traffic, both north and south or east and west. And so even if we had cold patch, we'd probably still ask for a small reduced budget in hot patch, because it's something that's poured hot when it's over a certain degree, and once it's formed and tamped, it hardens, and it actually is a permanent repair. It's more tenable to pavement, asphalt. And so we've got those identified, we've priced it out. We would want to do 2 or 3 specific loads, because you have to make sure you do the repair in time for it to still be hot. And so that's what we've come up with to address some of the issues.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. I know I learned a lot about cold patch and hot patch in the last week. We do have, there's one area that I'm aware of that I got to complain about, is how I got in the middle of it, that was almost as big as my Jeep. And it had been repaired and tried to put something in it, and it was so big that it just wouldn't help. So we're to the point, and that's when I realized, and I was told that it wasn't that they just weren't doing it, which is what the resident thought. It was the fact that they didn't have the material to do it with, because they can't get the cold patch.
It's a supply chain issue,
right,
at the current moment.
And none of the other cities, they've tried to get it from other cities, tried to get it from Levy County Road Department, nobody has it. It's just, like you said, a supply chain issue. So this is a fix for that. As you see, the physical impact is $10,000. Bless you. So consideration, if you will, discussion. What thoughts do you have? Yay, nay? Half that much? What you want to do?
Is this something that we like to try to keep on hand, is what it basically is, and we're out of it and just need
No.
more?
No, sir. There's partly yes. So cold patch we are trying to get a hold of. Hot patch is not something to keep on hand. It would be something that we would order. We would know when it was coming in. It'd be delivered to the site. The sites would be prepped. It would be a morning or an afternoon. where we made the significant repairs to, we have about, like I said, 7 to 10 major spots of concern throughout all parts and quadrants of the town. And so it's basically like a one-off. It's not something that we would continually do. That's why the budget amendment, because it's not something that's built into the budget that we have. The cold patch, which is separate, when it becomes available, is built into our budget, and we would utilize those funds, but they're designated for those cold patch repairs. So yes, to your question as in having it on hand, but not this particular material.
And then, so on this right here, would it be something that as a spot came up that needed it, we would have it pre-ordered and you would call and then they would deliver, or do you have to buy it all in one lump sum and then go cut the spots?
So we're going to do it in 2 or 3 phases. We're going to do the most severe, and as I said, we have 7 to 10 specific spots right now for the hot patch.
I understand it comes hot in a dump truck.
Correct.
So you gotta go cut them spots out, be ready for it,
Correct.
call it in like hot tar or something?
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Okay. Gotcha.
And can you use part of the cold patch money to put into this project?
No, ma'am, because when cold patch becomes available, we need the funds to have it on
ordered
hand.
it, you need to
Correct.
have it to pay for
And
it.
if we don't get it when it becomes available, they make this so infrequently that if we didn't have the money to buy even more than what we typically have on hand, we're going to be at this exact same place down
And
the
I
road.
understand the ingredients for the cold patch you can actually put in the yard and you can mix it yourself when you need it. So that's the difference.
Yes.
Right there. Yeah, isn't that cool? I learned all that this week. I learned all kinds of things this week. Staff has been
All right,
educated.
so one more question, this 10,000 is what it says.
Not to exceed. I should have put that. That is my mistake.
All right, so in your opinion, what kind of money is this saving the city in the future as far as what we would be having to patch here?
Sure. Long term, I mean, we would not put hot patch down in a street that we've identified in something that's going to be replaced. So, for example, we have a grant project that you all saw the last council meeting. If those grant funds become available this summer, nothing that those streets are going to be repaved would we obviously make a permanent repair on. What we would target is areas that we know we have little chance of getting funding. A lot of your CRA or historic district has very little chance of getting pavement funding. And so we're identifying parts that have a high traffic count. We prioritize intersections, things of that nature that we would do. The cold patch would be reserved for less traffic frequented areas.
When you see the soft patches, I mean the ones that you see that they've done, and you can actually see that they're soft and have a little movement, that's the cold patch. Yes, they are. And I will say that some of these are in areas around schools.
I'll give you 2 examples. So cold patch would be on South Main, between 1st Ave and 27 at the light. There's a dip there across from the beauty salon. That's a cold patch. Hot patch would be on Southeast 4th Street from just past the Christian Academy, from the 4th Ave intersection down to the 5th Ave that goes almost to the backside of the Woodfield. That's a hot patch. And if you'll notice, it looks like a different colorization, but it's smooth and flat and is basically pavement.
Now you know what as much as I know.
Well, I say if this is something we need and it benefits the city, then we do it.
Mr. Bloom's not on here, is he?
No, ma'am.
I agree.
Okay, so we have consensus. Can I have a motion? I don't know that we need a motion for a budget amendment. I think the budget amendments come at the end of the year. Yeah, they do. Thank you for reminding me of that. So I think we just need consensus to order the hot patch and proceed with the repair. And
You
we'll
have
do
my
the
consensus.
Yeah, thank you. Go for it. Consensus, Mr. Ross? You okay with ordering the hot patch to click?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Cox, you okay? I consensus, and if somebody will notify Mr. Bloom, they're gonna need a budget amendment.
What's the cost on that?
Around $10,000.
Exceeding 10,000.
Not to exceed 10,000. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing on our agenda is discussion with possible action. You're gonna have to help me with all that. What does the AFSCME, I know who they are, but what is it? What do the acronyms stand for? Anybody know?
American, Florida, it's basically the union.
I know it's the General Employees Union.
Yes, ma'am.
Is what it is. Okay, so
I believe they call it Asks Me.
Okay.
That's what they call it commonly.
Council 79 CBA negotiations, and this is one for City Manager Brevard, and they're asking us to name 2 city liaisons to meet with the union reps.
So it was my understanding last time that basically the way it was done, and Donald can correct me if I'm wrong, is that I was told the city manager, the HR, and another individual were involved in the negotiation process last time. I don't know who that other individual was. I thought Donald was one of those individuals. So I know although we're asking for 2 liaisons, I'm not really sure how you want to structure this. I have no problem with the city manager and the HR director, manager, and another individual of your choosing or our choosing will work in negotiating a contract and bringing it back to you for ratification.
How about those 2, the city manager and the HR director?
That's fine with me. I have no problem with it at all. If that's how y'all want to proceed.
If you want to do a third, why not do, does the police or the fire have
Well,
any?
no, they're
They
not.
don't have it. They're not included in this union.
Yeah. we're not-
They had a union, they no longer have it, so they are not covered by a union. No.
It's totally up to you. I mean, it's, you know, we've looked at some of the requests that are coming across so far. You know, I think it's something we're gonna be able to easily manage this year, in negotiations for the contract. You know, I don't know if you want another director, department head involved, that's fine. You know, I would be okay with that, but it's totally up to you.
I think it's up to you.
I'm perfectly okay with myself and the HR director doing it.
Everybody okay with that? You have consensus? Thank you very much. Okay, let me flip my page here. We're almost there, y'all. We have come to the second opportunity for public participation. If you're here tonight and you would like to address this council, you have up to 5 minutes to do that. If you will, make yourself known. Mr. Witt, find yourself a microphone.
I was curious when this letter from the county commissioner chairman arrived.
Is that on?
Yeah, it's on. Yes, sir. Yeah, the light's on.
I have a copy if you'd like it.
But when did it arrive?
Probably around 11:30 this morning.
Today.
Today. And it was put out as a public service announcement.
Public service?
It was a PSA, that's what it was called, so that's a public service announcement, right?
He didn't send it to any of the news media that I'm aware of. It was a public service announcement.
Yeah, I don't know, I got it.
Okay, well, I mean,
I got it via email, and the city clerk got it via email, and she sent it out to everybody else.
Well, it looks like he was trying to head off discussion of the composting issue by sending you a letter saying, well, this is all, not under your jurisdiction. And I have a problem when he communicates with a council member privately, behind the scenes.
He's allowed to do that.
Well.
It's not against the sunshine for the commissioner to talk to the council member.
Did the council members talk to each other?
No.
Did the city manager communicate with you about?
No.
No.
The city clerk sent this out.
So
I don't know what time it was. It was right before lunch, if I remember right.
Well, it came up during discussion of the city council, and it wasn't in the agenda, so that's why I was.
That's because we just got it today.
I know, that's the problem.
That's not a problem as far as I'm concerned. If you'd like a copy, it's here.
My copy, I've got it by way of email.
Me too. And if you'd like a time on the email, I can certainly look that up.
No, it's
Anybody else for this agenda? 5 minutes to talk about anything that you would like. Anybody online? No, nobody online. All right. Any announcements at this point from anyone in the crowd on this council? Anybody got any announcements? You said you got a barbecue coming up.
No, that's just me cooking for the baseball team. It's not a fundraiser.
Oh, you're not saying, it's just the baseball
It's the
team.
senior night. Friday night is senior night.
Not selling plates or anything.
No, just feeding kids.
All right. Okay, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Got one right here.
Oh, Mr. Ross. Sorry.
I have a question for.
I know what it is. Go ahead.
About the outcome of.
Yeah. What do we know? Is it ours yet?
Not not quite yet. Unfortunately, the courts are backed up, so getting a hearing date can be difficult, but we are working on getting a hearing date to finalize it. There shouldn't be any barriers. I think I discussed this last time, to us getting the property. We just have to get the hearing date, get the ruling, and then go to the auction.
Still no word from Mr. Peso at all.
I've not heard anything from him.
Mr. Peso. I said, Mr. Peso, you do realize they're gonna take your property, right? And he said they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Okay, as long as he knows. Thank you for that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Anything further from anyone? I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. We will adjourn at 7:40 p.m. Thank you for coming.